Hi everyone. Right, I'm now back at the right time, which is 3:30. Okay, and so it's 11:30 Eastern time. I got my times wrong. So here I'm going to do a live reading, and the person that I've picked for this is Tara. Right, because what I wanted to do, I think, as I said in the last video, was not all of you have great experience with having readings done for yourself. And I know one of the main things for me when I first started learning how to read was I never thought I was giving enough information, but it's because I had no experience of going to readers. And so my views and my ideas of what a reader could tell you wasn't actually based in anything sort of real. And it was only after quite some time of doing readings where I thought I wasn't giving a huge amount of information and I wasn't very good at what I was doing. Hi Julie. That I then started seeing what other readers were doing, and I realised that I was actually giving a lot more information than I realised. So this was one of the reasons that I wanted to do a live reading for you guys, so you could see kind of a little bit the process that I go through, but also some of the information that I give. Because a lot of what we're linking into and a lot of the information that we get isn't always completely and utterly concrete. Hi Tony. Yeah, so it's not exactly concrete. So sometimes when we're expecting to be able to say, you know, you're going to win the lottery and these are the numbers, we can feel a little bit disappointed in ourselves if we're not getting that kind of information. And often that isn't what readings are all about. So I wanted to do a reading demonstration for you. So you can kind of see my process, and so that you can know a lot of the information that you're possibly getting yourself is very relevant, and it's, you know, it's sort of up there on the information that you can give to other people, because I know a lot of the time people don't think they're actually getting anything of value. Okay, so this is the process. Have we got Tara here? Because this is for Tara. Is she here yet? Hang on a second, let me just have a look. Oh. I'm not too sure she's on there. 15 minutes ago, I'll be down in 13 minutes. Okay, so hopefully Tara's going to be here in a moment, because this is going to be the reading for her. Although I can begin to link in without her actually... Oh, here we go. I'm here! Fabulous! Okay, right. So, this is a reading for Tara. So, what I do to begin with is I always make sure that my cards are... Excuse me, my... boys. Stop it, I think they've just seen a cat in the garden. Right, so, just go and lie down. Okay, so what I do to begin with is I always have my feet flat on the floor, because what we're actually doing is we are bringing in the universal connection into us. And so what I tend to do is I follow that universal connection up, and then the connection goes from the sort of universal central point there down into the other person. What I'm not doing is going into their energy, because when you go into their energy, all you're picking up are their desires, their dreams, their wants, their needs, and everything like that. So a lot of readers, this is what they do, but that's actually just having your empath skills. That isn't actually being psychic or looking into their sort of future. And so that's why with a lot of readers, people can go and they can come away feeling really great because the reader's told them everything they want to hear, and then none of it comes true. So this is the thing that we have to remember, and it's learning that distinction between what is somebody's hopes, fears and dreams, so what you're picking up from their actual energy, and then there's the difference between actually going into their energy universally from the bigger picture, which then gives you the possibilities and the potentialities that are coming up for their future and their present. So that is the other thing that we have to remember with readings, that all we're doing is we're picking out the most likely, okay? Because the future is just a set of potentials, okay? Because every decision or whatever we make, we're having a choice, and that can take us down a different stream depending on the choices and things that we make. And also you have to remember that by giving an actual reading or somebody receiving a reading, it can change their future, okay? Because often, I mean, it's a bit like, say you were going down a road and there was an accident down the road and you were then diverted, and then that would set off a catalogue of events. However, if you're told beforehand that there's going to be an accident and to avoid that area, then those catalogue of events wouldn't necessarily happen, so you may find yourself in a very different place. So the very fact of having a reading can change your future. So I sit with my feet flat on the floor, just like I would if I was going to do a meditation or anything like that. I then hold the cards in my hand. And then with that, I'm then visualising Tara, although I don't know her and I don't know what she looks like. You're still able to link into that energy. Okay, so I then think of Tara, and the main thing is, and I'm going to be quiet when I do this, that when we link in, we have to be very much focused on the person that we're doing the reading for. Because sometimes it can be really easy as we're shuffling that we start thinking about what we're going to do for dinner. We start thinking about, you know, the meeting we have to go to with the bank manager. You know, I'm sitting here talking to you as I'm shuffling. So what we're doing is we're not picking up the proper energy of the person that we're linking into. So that's why I'm going to be quiet for a second. I close my eyes and then I'm just linking into Tara's energy. Now I'm just going to shuffle until I feel my shuffling is done. And this is an inner knowing within you, okay? And you can only learn it by practice. It's just like, there's just that thing in you that goes, no, we're done. And sometimes you'll start laying out the cards and something inside of you will go, no, this isn't the right reading. So these are things that can only be done with practice, okay? I'm not too sure whether that was the end or not, so I'm going to shuffle again. Okay, that is now it. So that was just an inner knowing, just some intuition that this was when to stop. And that's the thing with most things. You just have to learn this. You just have to practice and practice and practice. Okay, so now I start drawing the spreads. And as I'm drawing the cards, I'm just looking at what they mean in generalised terms and trying to get a general feel, okay, for the cards. What is the story? Because this is the thing that we have to remember when we're reading tarot, is we're actually being told a story. So we're being told a story in this moment of what is going on around them at the moment, but it's also a story in regard to their life's path or their soul's journey. Okay, so it's all about story, it's all about flow, it's all about things connecting in. So these sorry. Okay, sorry about that. There's a pigeon in the garden, and my dogs don't seem to have understood that they can't fly. Right, they can't fly, not the pigeon. Pigeons just wind them up. Same with the neighbourhood cats. Anyway, so we're looking at telling a story. Okay, so these are the things that you need to bear in mind when you're doing your reading. The other thing that it is the cards are kind of like a tool for us. So it's almost like if you could imagine that you've got a big ceiling and you've got little bits of cotton or thread coming down, and the tarot cards are those little bits of cotton. And then what we then do is, by reading this, we first see the bit of cotton, which is then the card, okay, and then we pull on it. So this is where you need to practice and practice and practice, because what you need to be able to do is have that sort of free flow of information just coming in. It's almost like when you do free association and things like that. So you start off by describing the cards. So this is your first bit of the thread that comes in, and what you can do, because by constant or by practicing readings on other people, you get to know what the general or standard definition is of this card. So what you will start to do is you will start to just repeat what it is that you know about this card. And that is kind of you reaching up and grabbing hold of the cotton. And then you go into kind of like a free association. So then you're just allowing, you're channeling whatever information comes forward for you. All right, and this is why it's a really good idea to practice on the page, because when you're just blurting out random and seemingly insignificant things, images, words and things like that, you feel really foolish and a little bit stupid, and you know, because you feel like you need to have some weight behind it, or you're giving something of some value, and that's why it's really important to try and do some stuff on the page. And I know somebody's put up there, Dawn I think has put up that she's happy for people to practice readings on her. So do take advantage of that. Do start doing readings for each other, because it's the only way you're going to learn what your signs are, what your images mean. It's the only way you're going to learn your interpretation. It's the only way you're going to start connecting with your gut and knowing when a reading is on, is right or it's off. So it'll be the sort of thing that, say you're not too sure, because the hardest thing for people is when to stop shuffling, because the brain comes in and they doubt everything. So one of the important things to do is, say that you were having a problem with that and you weren't too sure whether you were to stop the cards there and deal them. Well, say you did, but you were in a little bit of two minds, and then somebody says to you, no, I can't take anything that you're saying here. Then you know that you were right. You got that inner niggle, and what you should have done was carried on shuffling. Okay, so that's lesson learned. So this is why it's really, really important to practice, practice, practice. Practice with people you don't know. Practice getting your confidence up. Practice just blurting and doing like a stream of consciousness, being that channel. And practice in this safe environment, because everybody here is here to learn. So they're not going to be judging you, and they're not coming really for answers. They're coming to help you learn your own craft and your own skill. So it's not like you're going to be letting anybody down. It's not like you're charging people, so you're not giving them anything of any value. And it's not like you're giving misinformation to somebody who's vulnerable or needy or wanting anything like this, because you're all aware of why you're here, and you're all here to learn. So I'm just going to do this reading for Tara, and you're going to kind of see how things begin to flow. So when I'm looking at this, so this reading for Tara is very important, because what we have here is we have three major arcana cards. Now the major arcana cards are usually to do with big life lessons. They're big pivotal landmarks on our path. And they usually like propel us forward. They either propel us forward physically on our path, or it's things like you can go up a level spiritually, or you're letting go of cycles, things like that. So the major arcana cards are usually something important and pivotal is happening in your life. And this is what we've got at the moment. And we've got it in the overall card, which is the strength. But we also have them at the two end cards, which is what's coming in for the future. So it's the thing of, this is a really important time, but it's going to be quite a gentle thing, because in the beginning, we haven't got major arcana cards. We've got minor arcana cards. So these are kind of like little gentle life lessons, just what's going on. But this moves into some sort of quite big transformation. So it's almost as if the ground is being set for these big changes that are coming up. So we start off with the first card, which is the Four of Chalices. So where Tara is at the moment is very much, she feels very emotionally supported. There seems to be people around her and friends around her who are very much match the energy that Tara's putting out there. And this feeling, it feels as though the energies are very gentle and everything is very, very lovely and gentle, but there's change coming, okay? So it's almost like this has been, life has been kind of like, okay, lots of friends, but there's something missing. There's something that it's like, there isn't anything that you can really worry about too much or complain about too much, but it still feels as though there's something missing. And it's almost like there's some kind of search that has been going on, and maybe a little bit of despondency as well. So the information I've just given there has come from this card So I started off, because this is a card all about emotional support, and then I've just begun to talk. And as I'm talking, I'm feeling other things. I'm feeling energy coming in. So this is why when you're doing readings, just talk and talk and talk and talk, because you're picking up on so much information and also so much energy. So the information I've given so far, there's been a fair amount of that, and it's all basically come from one card. So I also feel that there's an energy around Tara, so I'm now going to be talking to Tara directly because it's just so much easier. So there's this feeling of being very emotionally supported, and emotionally supported by friends and family, but there's been something missing, and there's now a time for you to be much more direct about what it is that you want. And there's been this period of time when it's almost been like you've been just sitting and waiting, and it's like you don't need to rock the boat and you don't need to push things, and you're very okay with the life you are, and you're very okay with the sort of love and stuff that you've got around you, but you had this thing that was missing. And so now is the time that you're much more clear about what it is that you want. And this is to do with love, and this is to do with relationships, and it's to do with being much more sort of solid and grounded in this relationship. So the time is right now. So the energy has picked up, and it is now time for you to be much more direct about what it is that you want. And there could even be, I don't know whether there's been a recent Facebook message from somebody from the past, or somebody who you've got a great affinity with, but I can see like a message, or I'm seeing it more like an email or something, sort of online, digital, okay, rather than a letter or a meeting or even a phone call. I see it as more like, because what I keep getting in my mind is like the envelope symbol for email and things like that, but so much is done through sort of Facebook and things like that these days. So there's this amazing support, but there is more that you want. And it's that sort of thing of sometimes we think, yes, we are surrounded by love, but sometimes it's a romantic love that we want, and the love of friends and family, although fabulous, sometimes doesn't quite cut the mustard. But things are going to start moving forward very quickly, and your arrow is going to hit the mark, because now it is something that you really want. And also, it's taken this amount of time for this shift to occur within you, because there's been a lot of uncertainty, and there's been a lot of, I feel like, deceit, or people being in your life who are not who they, or are not acting in the way that, okay. It's almost like I feel there's been people in your life that have pretended to be one thing and have turned out to be something else, and that you're very trusting and open, and you can be quite easily deceived. And I feel as though this has been something where you've really had your fingers burnt, and you've kind of gone back into your cave, and you've doubted yourself a bit, and you've doubted your understanding of people, because then we've got, it's almost like all of this is then renewed. And there's a woman who has come into your life, and I feel as though it's a little bit unexpected, and I feel as though it's someone who's a bit older than you, who has given you some great advice and has actually helped you see beyond the masks of other people. And that kind of, it's almost like there's been a bit of healing going on where hang on, something came in. So sometimes what happens when you're doing a reading, you can either have your connection get lost, or you have a whoosh of other energy come in, and it comes in so quickly that you kind of miss it. So give me a minute on this one. Okay, so it was almost like you felt as though you'd been closed down a little bit, because there'd been this kind of like deceit, or things had kept going wrong, and it was kind of like, oh, just forget it. I'm not even putting myself out there anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And it's kind of like things started to close down. But you've had that hope and that inspiration back. And you're going to listen to your intuition that much more. Okay? So you're going to listen to your inner knowing. And you're not going to... Okay, so I just got this bit of information. It's like because you want to be because you wanted to be very trusting and open with other people, it was kind of like you squashed down your own intuition because you thought maybe you were overreacting or you were being mean or it was your own defenses and things like that, when it wasn't. It was just the fact that you could see past the mask. Okay, so but there's something, so there has been this woman or something has come along where it's made you believe that much more in yourself and also give you great hope for the future, because I can feel. Okay, so we then look at this card. Okay, so where it is placed in the pack, this card, I don't know if you can see that. This card is kind of like if you've got any obstacles, and this is very much about sexual desire. And I do feel this kind of, this energy ramping up, where there is this sexual attraction and this sexual desire, but it feels much more mature. It doesn't feel like, you know, the young sort of like randy horniness of youth. This feels as though a very strong sexual attraction, but one where there's an understanding that sexual attraction can burn out quite quickly and you need to have a little bit more of a foundation underneath that. And I do see a man, but I do see him maybe a little bit younger than you. Not huge amounts, or younger than... I don't know, I can't quite get a handle on what it is, whether it's a younger person or whether it's a fresh relationship or whether it's the sexual desire feels quite new, or it feels like you know what you want now, okay? Because then there is this amazing connection. So it's your own connection with you and your connection with your spirituality. And I feel that you're incredibly grounded, but you're just about to be in the middle of this. You'll feel like you're carried away on the energies, okay? But not in a crazy kind of out of control way. This is you being tapped into the center of the universe and actually going on that kind of flow with the universe. Because I see that there's... okay, you need to be developing your knowing and your connection, because you have a very strong intuition, a very strong knowing, and you also have so much love to give, and you are so willing to give yourself unconditionally. And this is where it's been really difficult for you in the past, because you have to be open and you have to be unconditional in so much of what you do, and the people who've been around you and the partners that you've had have not had this same unconditional understanding. Yeah, so you've had your fingers burnt quite seriously, and this has affected you. But it's kind of like you're coming out the other side of it now, which is absolutely fabulous, because you're actually entering. Okay, so now I'm going back to the overall cards. So what I do as well when I'm doing my reading is I just go to whichever cards I'm drawn to, and I go to that in a flow, because that is how the story is told. All right, so it's one of those things that you need to learn the structures. So I'm not talking to Tara here, I'm talking to you guys here about doing readings. You don't have to stick to the structure, because you need it all to flow, okay? So although you need to learn by repetition what each of your cards mean, you then allow, once you're connecting into the energy, you allow the energy to flow. And that's why sometimes we go in and out, because what we're doing is we're not strangling the energy, we're just allowing it. So I was then looking at the position of the cards where there was something unexpected coming in, and then I'm brought into the overall card, because the overall card obviously sets the tone for everything, and this is a major arcana card, so this is a really important and pivotal time. But it's very strong in the sense that it's a very joyous, positive time in your life, that there is going to be obstacles, but they're not going to be an issue for you, and you're going to get over them and deal with them with a huge amount of ease. And they're not going to be an issue at all. And it's almost as if you're you need those obstacles so it can prove to you how easily you can step over them, and how they're not even an obstacle. They're kind of like a test which just proves to you again that you're on the right path, that you've been committed to your development, and yeah, everything's going in the right direction, everything's really improving. So this is a really positive time. And then you get the Star card, which again is another major arcana card, and this is huge hope for the future. This is, you know, when you have that sort of, you're inspired, you know, we've all been in this big corridor for the last sort of 4 or 5 months. And, you know, when you're in the corridor, you kind of forget what another room looks like, you forget what the outside looks like. It's all about being in this corridor. And it's that period for you is over. So you now have a huge amount of optimism for the future, and you know everything's going to be okay, and you're going in the right direction, and you're being true to yourself, because that is then bringing in the most amazing relationship for you. And it is a fabulous relationship. It's very equal. It's also a relationship that you're going to learn a huge amount about yourself from. And I feel as though your path has been, you've needed some time to kind of assess things and find out who you are and what it is that you want, and also to dedicate yourself a little bit more to your own development. And it's kind of like you've got to a certain level, and it's like fabulous. You've cleared out a lot of issues that you had, and now you're ready to go to the next level. And part of that is about exploring yourself in a relationship with another person. So this is going to be a really, I mean, it's a major arcana card again. It's the Lovers card. This is a very rewarding and positive relationship. It's a very balanced and equal relationship. You can learn a lot about your masculine side, and he can learn more about his feminine side. So this is going to be a really, I do feel as though he's a bit younger than you, which is fab, but that's only in like chronological years, so it doesn't really mean a huge amount. But you know, there's nothing wrong with a younger man. So this is a really important time for you on so many levels, on your own confidence and knowing who you are and what you want and what your desires are. But it's also about having hope for the future again, and being able to move things forward and know that things are going to be moving forward. Not in an overly quickly way, but I feel, you know, I don't get that feeling of like losing control. But it's like a steady, yeah. So keep an eye out for any messages that you've got, or any messages you're thinking of sending somebody else. Because, you know, I see this message thing, but it could well be that you've just got to the point where you're ready to contact somebody. And if that is the case, then you know, crack on, because the energies are really supporting you right now. So has anybody got any questions when it comes to the process of doing readings, how I do readings? Because again, I think you can see, let me see if I can show you my cards. Oh, hang on a second, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Right, so these are the cards. So we have the emotional one, we have the directness, we have the desire, we have the Maid of Chalices, the Queen of Swords, the Star, the Lovers, and the overall card is Strength. Oh. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of information that comes from a small amount of cards. So again, when it comes, has anybody got anything? No. I don't even know if Tara's on here. Okay. Well, you can all look at this at some point. So the main thing when you're starting to learn to do any kind of readings is just remember that the description that you get in your book is very important, but it is just the hook. It is just that first bit of thread that you're grabbing hold of. And if you see with me, when I'm looking at these things, I look at the card, I look at all the cards together, I then look at the card, and then you will see that I just glance down at the card and then I'm looking another way, because when I'm kind of getting information, I tend to look to the side. Because it's almost as if I'm reaching up into this cloud and being able to pull things down. So when you're doing readings, the other important thing is don't dismiss any information that comes in. Be very aware of what is going on, because it's very much like, you know, earlier when it was all like boom, suddenly something went, because it was like this big rush of energy came in. And you need to be aware of these things. This isn't you just losing your train of thought. This has all got to do with the energy that you're being able to pull down from the universe that has all the information that is needed connected with the person that you're doing the energy with. So when you're doing your readings, please practice on yourself. So that is the thing. Draw yourself 3 cards every single morning. Write down, you know, read in the book what each description is, and the thing that I say to the people that I teach this to is read it in your head in the book, and then try and recap without looking at your book, because then you will remember the things that are important. If you do this every day, you're soon going to get to learn what each card represents on a general level. Write these things down in your journal. You can then add whatever information just flows from you. So you might get pictures, you might get images and things like that. Write all of these down. And then at the end of the day, come back and have a look and see how relevant it was. Because you will see there are some things where it's like, oh, this happened today. That popped into my head when I was doing the reading, but I didn't write it down. You will have other things where it's like, oh, I interpreted that in one way, but it actually played out in a slightly different way. So you can see where your interpretations can be slightly off, which is usually when we bring the brain in and we try and analyse stuff and try and make things fit. So keep doing those. Do that every day. Get on here and put yourself up to do readings, to offer readings for people. You don't look at their Facebook, okay? So if somebody asks for a reading, don't look at them, all right? Connect in with the name, connect in with the energy that is attached. Don't look at them, because the minute you start looking at them and bringing more information in and physical information in, it's going to mess with your flow of energy that's coming in, because then you've got your analytical brain getting involved. So do lots of practicing on people you don't know. If you do feel really self-conscious, then, you know, see if you can hook up with someone and just do private readings, and maybe then put a little bit on the wall so other people can learn from your experience as well. But you don't have to. I mean, I know it takes quite a while to build up your confidence, because you feel so silly when you're saying things because they don't mean anything to you. So it's a bit like I've put up some pictures and people are commenting, and it seems very random and bizarre, the things they're commenting on, but a lot of the things mean something to me, or I can see how they may have misinterpreted things or maybe not looked close enough, but I can see the pure energy that they've got and the information that they've got. So don't judge your own stuff before it comes out of your mouth. Don't judge whether you're, or don't expect or think that you're just being crazy or you're just saying random stuff, because it's all a case of learning, learning what your tells are, learning, you know, when to shuffle, when to stop shuffling, which cards to look at first, how to tell the story. So this is the thing, you have to practice, and practice makes perfect. And also you make sure as well that with any of these things that you ground, you connect in properly, and also you cleanse your cards and you cleanse yourself afterwards. So once you've done a reading, like I have just done with Tara, I will then bring all of my cards back together. like so. I then shut off the connection to Tara. Although I'm constantly connected to universal energy, I then kind of pull out of the little orb that is Tara's energy. I pull out of that, I bring my energy back in. I then connect in with the universal energy, I bring it in and I blast it out. So the universal, you've got to excuse me, I've just eaten a load of falafels because I'm starving. So you sit here, you bring back in the universal energy and you allow it to come in and then just burst outwards. So it bursts out of your hands, it bursts through the cards and it bursts through your energy. And basically what that is just clearing any of Tara's energy out of my system. If I don't do that, then I will be thinking of Tara for the rest of the evening. Her emotional thoughts and things like that will be coming into my system because I will have a connection with her. And you know, nobody wants that. No offense, Tara. You don't want to be in my energy. I don't want to be in your energy. Because it just makes everything just far too confusing. So you blast out of the energy, and you also make sure that the energy blasts out of your cards, because otherwise, I mean, I've done 3 readings already today. They would all be getting mismatched. They would all be starting to overlap because the energy would be running through the cards. So those are the things. Always make sure that you ground and just practice. So are there any questions from anybody with regard to readings? I always work with the Glastonbury Tarot. I've just seen we've got some things up here. I see Julie would like a reading. No, I don't think you need to do anything else. That's fabulous. Right, I always work with the Glastonbury Tarot. Now, these are my favourite cards. They were the first set of cards I ever bought 20 odd years ago, and I still use them, and they're the only ones. I've had people buy me cards before. I've had people buy me oracle cards and things like that, and I just haven't had the same connection. You need to make a connection with your cards. These have actually been taken out of print now, and they're slightly different to the cards that traditional cards. I just find them very soft. They're a great reflection on me. They're an incredibly positive pack. There doesn't ever tend to be anything sort of like really nasty in there, because like with me, even difficult problems I always see as something really, really positive. So this is the important thing. You need to find the cards that are right for you. You need to find the style that is right for you. Some people, a lot of readers like using lots of different packs, and they pull on different packs depending on their own intuition. My personal thing is I love the Glastonbury Tarot. It's like an extension of me. They're like my best friend. We've worked together for 20 odd years, and they speak to me. So they speak to me when they're not complete. They speak to me when there's an issue. They speak to me when I need to blast out any kind of energy. We have an incredibly close connection, and I really love them, and I don't let anybody else touch them. So that is the other thing that you need to look at. When I first started off, I used to let people cut the cards, or I used to let people shuffle the cards. I don't let them touch my cards at all now, because it's just not necessary. And what we tend to do is when they're touching the cards and you're asking people to pick which one they're most drawn to, their mind comes into it and then they can't make a decision. So, you know, it's kind of me and my cards, and yeah, no one's allowed to touch my cards. So that is the thing you need to find. I've had friends as well who have got into this and they've had to buy 3 or 4 or 5 packs before they've found a pack that they really, really, really love, and that speak to them in a way that they understand. But if you do get a pack, take them everywhere with you. To begin with, sleep with them under your pillow and really connect. Have that energy come into you. Okay. Yeah, there's 8 cards in total. Has anybody got any more questions? Oh, am I still on there? Sometimes I look so gormless in these videos. Right, I'm going to do a quick reading for Julie, and then that's going to be it, and I'm going to go. But please do readings for each other, whatever they may be. Do have a play around on some of the things that I post up there, you know, looking at pictures and things like that. But this is mainly for you to be able to do different readings. Just practice your readings on each other, okay? And, you know, most readings, always try and expand on the description in the book, okay? So read the description in the book and then like paraphrase it. Just use whatever you need. Right, is there any more questions? Otherwise I'm just going to do a reading for Julie. Oh, just having a cup of tea. Right. Okay, let's do a quick shuffle. Right, so. Good. I'm glad, Tara. And good luck for you. You've got some great changes coming on here. And it's good to be open. It's good to always have that heart centre open, huh? Oh, there's nothing like it in the world. Right. Okay. And practice. Practice your skills. Practice your gifts. And of course, just put any questions you have on here, and you know, anything to do with your connection, with meditations, with your psychic gifts, anything like that. I mean, I've been working on my development for 20 odd years. I am a mystic, which means I've got some absolutely kick-ass skills, and I'm able to really tap into universal energy. I mean, it was just, I went down the beach today, set my intentions on three things that I needed to happen, came back, there in my inbox were 3 emails with the things that I had set my intention for, and everything played out exactly as I wanted it to play out. So, you know, we are able to create the life of our dreams. We are able to use this energy to see what is coming up, what pitfalls we've got, what things we need to avoid, what we maybe need to look at. You know, there is so much more to life than, you know, getting up and doing the same routine and going to work and earning money and paying our bills and then doing it all over again. Life can be a lot easier, a lot more fun, much more abundant when you get that connection with yourself, when you start believing the connection that you've got and the power that you've got and how you can all work with energy. Because everything that I do, you guys can do, because it's part of all of us. It's just the reason I can do things in such a fabulous way is because I've spent 20 years balancing, well, not 20 years, but my journey has been over 20 years, and I've been balancing my dark sides and my dark and my light side. I've been, you know, looking at transcending the duality that we live in and moving into unity. And I've been doing a lot of work cleaning this vessel so that I can hold the highest vibrational light that I can. And, you know, every day I'm able to hold an even higher vibrational light because I continue the work that I'm doing. I continue growing, I continue learning, and I continue making that contract with the universe to say, yeah, I'm ready, I'm going to step up, I'm going to do these things. And not only am I going to do them and integrate them in my own world, in the 3D world, I'm also going to be putting them out there to help others and to show other people, and, you know, to be, it's not in service because none of us are in service anymore, but it is to share my gifts and what I learn and what I know about the universe and the world with other people. So, you know, you make that commitment, and then it is amazing how things really move forward. And, you know, I have to say, with my hands on my heart, I have a fantastic life. I have everything that I want. I am surrounded by love and laughter. I am abundant in all areas. You know, I have the money that I need without having to work. You know, I used to work 60, 70 hours a week. I used to work incredibly hard. I've always worked incredibly hard, and I've run my own businesses since I was 21. And, you know, I've been an employer, and, you know, I've done all the things that you needed to do, getting on that wage slave or that train of capitalism or whatever it is, when there isn't anything left for anybody else. And now I work much less hours. I probably work about 25 hours a week. I mean, I do a lot of spiritual work for free. I do a lot of energy work for free, and a lot of healing work for free, an awful lot of healing work for free. But, you know, I'm abundant financially. I have everything that I need. I'm you know, I don't, and then some. You know, I just don't struggle anymore. And all of that was by bringing my mystical energy work into my actual real 3D world. So it isn't a kind of, this is me and this is me at work, and then this is me being spiritual. It's like my spiritual world. And this is what happened after 2012. Once all the light workers retired, and the big paradigm shift began to occur, so we're kind of in that middle world. That was the job of the what were previously light workers, was the fact that we were no longer in service, we were no longer sacrificing anything of ourselves for other people. What we were doing was then bringing in that unity energy and integrating it into our daily lives, so that we became the paradigm shift. Right, so I'm running on a little bit now. Where are you? Julie. Right, okay, Julie, we'll do a quick reading for you. So again, part of the reason I'm doing these readings is so that you can see how a reading is carried out. Yep, that one's that one. Sometimes, if you saw then, I was shuffling but no cards were dropping. That can often mean that that's a sign to stop shuffling. Okay, Julie. Yes, there is lots and lots and lots going on for you, and on all sorts of levels. I see things changing on your physical, material level. I see things changing emotionally for you, mentally for you, spiritually for you. There is lots and lots of change going on here, and I'm seeing that just by the general pattern of how the cards have fallen. But also we've got a great connection here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bash this reading out, rather than me then start explaining what it is that I'm doing and how these connections are happening. I'm just going to do the reading so you guys can kind of see. If you see me looking down, this means that I am actually looking, connecting at the cards. Once I'm up and doing all of this with my hands and looking off and what have you, then that's when I'm just interpreting the light information that's coming in. So, Julie, right. So, okay, so we've got some big stuff going on and we've got some little stuff going on, and it's all part of your journey, obviously. So there's been, for you, some sort of heartache and some spilt emotions and some difficulties and some, you know, you've been quite broken and hurt, but you're kind of at the point where if you see it as like this, which is your overall card, this is you going up a hill. So this is you quite sort of hurt and broken and upset, and you're almost at the top of the hill. So you are getting through this. And it's a really good thing, but you need to be learning these lessons, okay? Because you've been taken for granted, and I feel that there's also been other stuff going on. And it's fine to go through these things once, and it's fine for these things to happen, but you need to learn your lessons, okay? Because you don't want them to keep repeating. So where you are actually at the moment, you're in a very pivotal point, because you've got one of the highest energy cards of the pack, which is the Eight of Staffs, okay? So this is a really high energy card. But it also means that everything that you've got in your life is everything that you need to move forward from this point. And it's kind of like all the shifts and things that have been changing within you. Right, don't hold on to the past. Don't try and get back what you've lost, okay? Because you're at the point now where you need to be planting those seeds for the future. And you have one of the highest energy seeds here, one of the greatest potentialities. So you have everything in your life right now to push forward for you to create the world of your dreams. But you're holding on to something, and I don't know whether it's a home or a job, or there's something that you're holding on to that kind of needs to be done now, okay? You need to let that one go, because it's going to end, and it's going to be taken out of your life one way or another. All right, and you don't want to be holding on tightly to it when it gets taken out, because I feel, and I don't know what it is, it's a good thing. You need to kind of maybe shift or adjust your attitude slightly with regard to what it is. I mean, I don't want to go into any great detail because obviously we're live, and I think you probably know what it is, but it's, and I also can't put an actual finger on what it is, but it's this thing that you know what you need to do. You know that your intuition has never failed you in the past, and even when you haven't listened to your own intuition and things have happened and you've gone, why, I knew this, why didn't I do something about it? These are all the things, you know, that you've been through these experiences and these things have happened. You've now got to learn your lesson by them and be like, well, okay, I knew this was going to happen and I didn't do anything about it, and then it happened. So rather than feeling like upset with yourself or disappointed in yourself, it's like, no, this is great validation that I knew that my gut instinct was right, and moving forward, you are going to listen to that gut instinct and listen to that intuition, because you know you can create exactly the life that you want and the life of your dreams. But for some reason, there's something from the past you're hanging on to, or there's something that you don't need that you're hanging on to and is weighing you down, and the universe is going to rip that from you, and you're going to feel as though it's quite harsh, and you're going to go into like a little period of mourning, but it's the best release for you because you were holding on to something that was quite negative and damaging. And it was like this progression that you're doing, this going up this hill that you were doing, wasn't going to resolve itself, and you weren't going to resolve itself and heal until this goes, until this gets taken away, because then you can begin the mourning process, and then that is over. That cycle is over, and it's not something that I feel like you're holding on to something through habit or through expectation or something like that, because once you allow it to go, you can then dream your dreams, and then everything opens up for you, and it's absolutely fabulous and empowering, and it's really wonderful. It's this thing. Okay, I've got one of the sayings that I have is sometimes the greatest strength isn't in holding on, it's in letting go. You're holding on for dear life to something that you need to just let go, because everything that is important in your life and everything that is there to emotionally support you and is all there. You know, you've got a fabulous life. You have been really lovely and kind to your friends, and you will put yourself out for anybody, and you will do anything for anybody, but then you don't want to receive. So you kind of are putting all this stuff out, but then when it sort of starts making its way back to you, you start being a little bit suspicious or doubtful. And, you know, you don't need to be this way, because it's kind of your fabulous energy making its way back to you. So, you know, when people are being really lovely and wonderful to you and helping you and telling you how marvellous you are, you know, accept that, because that's the energy you put out there making its way back to you. Okay, and you just want to keep that cycle going, and that's the thing, you want to keep this flowing. All right, and it doesn't flow when you just keep giving. I don't know what it is that you're going to that is going to go, but you just got to let it go, because it's not a problem. I mean, if you were here with me or we were having like a proper full reading, I could probably look into that. But I think you know what it is anyway, because you really are bringing in, I mean, your overall card, once you get past the mourning, okay, and even this card of mourning isn't a bad thing, because where it is as well in the position of your cards is the fact that this is a good thing, because it signifies it's over. You know, when we're going through a really difficult time, whatever that may be, you know, it's a bit like, say you're going through like a hostage situation. At the time, you keep your wits about you. You have to get through it. You have to be dealing with what's being presented to you. So you're in it. You're in it in that moment. You're connected into that energy. But the minute that is over, you can kind of break and then have to go into mourning. But this is the first step in repair. This is saying that situation is over. So you're safe, and it is okay for you to break. It is okay for you to mourn. It is okay for you to cry, because it's all part of the process, and it signifies that ending. So even though it seems as though you've got this big thing coming up, and it feels like it comes out of nowhere, it feels as though it's a little bit of a side thing, and comes in and just kind of like changes everything. This is a really good thing because you need this ending. You're holding on to something that's done and you need to just let it go, because then this is pushing you into being able to create the life of your dreams. So it's like you're holding on because you think that that is going to be where your dreams come, and it's actually let go of that because that's not the vehicle that's going to take you where you need to go. So, and you've got to have strong boundaries. Now, I know your boundaries have been getting better recently, because you're a little bit clearer. No, you're more confident. I feel as though you're more confident in yourself and what you want and what you believe and all of these sort of things, and that you know you have the power to create the life that you want, and you've got that intuition. But I feel like somebody steps over your boundaries and they get it. So try and be a little bit more of a guardian to your boundaries before it gets to that point where you then. Yeah, I feel like someone, because you're really stepping into your personal power, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's fab. So you're really stepping into this power, and so it's that thing of just be aware of that. And when people start pushing you or trying to push your buttons or try and stepping over what you're, you need to be firmly there and says, no, I said no. Because otherwise I feel like you're going to have a little bit of an eruption. So that is for you, Julie. And I hope all of that makes sense. As you can see, when I do my readings, I do speak quite quickly. And part of that is because I have a lot of information coming in. And if I'm not blurting it all out, then I miss lots of information for you. And the other thing as well with doing readings is once I've done a reading, I don't remember them. I don't remember who I read for, and I don't really remember the content of the reading. Just like when I do my energy reports in the morning, I have to go back and read them because I don't remember them. Because again, it's just like a channel. So I remove my brain, and I just allow the energy to come in, and then I either blurt it out or I type it away, which is why sometimes you get like a little bit of grammatical errors and things like that, because also I don't read it back. I just post it. So you do have to forgive me sometimes if there's a few spellings, or I mean, I do try and spell check, but it's still that sort of channeling of the information. And this is why practice your card readings and that connection, because energy is energy. Okay, so whether you are doing readings, psychic readings, or whether you are doing healing, or whether you're setting energetic boundaries, setting intentions, whatever, energy is energy. So play around with it, because when you can do one thing, you can do absolutely everything, because all you are is a channel. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. I hope you've got some information about how to do readings, and the way that they can be presented. And if anybody's got any questions, I am going to have to go now because the boys and I need to go down the beach and they're just staring at me. If anybody's got any questions, I can then come on and answer them, but please do read for each other, and just enjoy and have fun, and know that this is an amazing resource for you to help you in your life. Okay, take care everyone. Lots of love. Bye bye.